Put it back over here. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Yeah. I want to take that last phrase, kai theos ein halagos, and the Word was God. And y'all, I'm going to stand up. Y'all don't have to stand up, but I'm going to point to some things. First of all, this, what looks like an N and a V, is actually a long E with an N sound. Okay, so it's ein. But within the framework of that, what is that verb meaning? Give us the meaning of that verb.
Was.
Mm-hmm.
Was.
It's
your verb. If I know what you're pointing at, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, you do. Was.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So we've got theos, which means what? God, good. And logos, which means the Word. And so the Greek says, and God was the Word. But your translation says, and the Word was God. Now, what are we missing here? Explain to us the significance of this. Put it together in a package.
Dan's written extensively on this. I'll let him do it.
In Greek, the subject...
It's off.
Yeah.
It's off?
No, you're there. You're there now.
Oh.
Go back.
Maybe I should just shout so you can hear me.
Yeah, shouting would help.
No, I won't do it. In Greek, the subject is typically between a subject and a predicate nominative. There are 5 different ways to tell if you have the subject, but the keys are if one of the 2 words has the article, the word the, in front of it, and the other does not, the word with the is the subject. If one of the 2 is a proper name, it's the subject, and if one of the 2 is a pronoun, it's the subject. Word order, although there are certain restrictions in word order, Greek has much greater flexibility than English to put these things in whatever order they want. And so, ha logos, the word, is the subject, but theos is thrown in front of the verb and in front of the subject to put emphasis on it. Now, it's typically translated, the Word was God, which is a bit of an over-translation. Because early in the verse, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God. Maybe you can point that up to them, that the word theon has ton in front of it. The Word was with God. What this is really saying, if we convert this into the persons of the Trinity, is in the beginning was the second person of the Trinity. And the second person of the Trinity was with the first person of the Trinity. And the Word was now not the same person, but theos does not have an article in front of it, and it's thrown forward in the sentence to put an emphasis on it in terms of quality or essence. The New English Bible has, I think, what's probably the best translation of this. What God was, the Word was, is how they do it. This is saying that the Word has the same essence as the Father, but is not identical in person. It's the shortest, the briefest possible way that John could say there are at least 2 members to the Godhead, and they are distinct persons. 4 words, and he does it.
Okay. Bill, do you want to add to that?
Well, the other thing is that the article, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is the verse the Jehovah Witness uses, says that there's no the God, so it's a God. The word was a God. And the reason the article is missing in front of theos is that it's to help differentiate subject from predicate. So it's, Greek nouns are definite in and of themselves, unlike English. So this doesn't say a God, but the article, the before theos, that you normally would expect, has been dropped, not because Jesus is a God, but because he's differentiating subject from predicate. I get that right? Kind of?
I got confused on what you were saying.
All right, so I'm going to break it apart for a moment, because if Dan got confused,
then
it's a good chance to talk about it some.
Or maybe this is just one of his lapses. You know,
it could be.
One of the empty
could
spots.
be.
I'll always claim that, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so in English, we have an article that can be a definite article, and we have another one that's an indefinite article. So before words, we can use the, and that's a definite article. We can use a or an, and that's an indefinite article. It's the difference between I go to a university, could be anyone, or I go to the university when you're talking about a specific one like Texas Tech. And so, you know, if you just want to say, I go to a University of Texas, it could be anyone. But if you say, I go to the University of Texas, you mean Texas Tech. And
Are these fighting words
Yeah.
in Texas? Okay.
yeah, if Sam Harless is in here. And so the is a definite because it's pointing to something definite. Now, in Greek, they do not have the indefinite article, a or an. All they have is a definite article. And the definite article sometimes is specifying something specific. Sometimes it's just used with characteristics and traits like honor and things like that, if I recall correctly. It's been a long time for me. But sometimes it's drawing a specific distinction. And sometimes the absence of the article may mean something notable. With that as a background, what you're saying here is, if you look at the whole sentence, and I'll stand up here so y'all can see it. This is what Dan was talking about. It starts out, in beginning, in the beginning, was, it's that same word that's down here, was, and it's got this O with a rough breathing on it, a ho sound or a ha. In Lubbock, we made them all long O's. Ha, logos, was the word. Y'all tracking? And then it says, and it's got that same the definite article. The word was, again, same word was, with the God. Now, this is the in a different form. It's the same definite article, but it's in a different form because now God is a direct object. And here God doesn't have the article. And God. Does it mean a God? Why does it not have an article? And God was the, we come back to, Word. Now, with that, Bill or Dan, give your explanation again.
Dan's going to correct me on something, and then I'll explain.
Okay.
The stative verbs, to be, I am, those kinds of verbs where you have a subject, predicate, nominative, they can be the same as an equal sign. That is, A equals B, B equals A. Yeah. But just as frequently, in fact, more frequently, what it means is that A is a part of B. Yeah. So I could say Bill is a man. He's not the only man out there, but he belongs to the category called man. To say the Word was God without the article for theos means the Word belongs to that very, very small group called God. There's three persons, one being. And this particular construction, where you have the predicate nominative before the verb, occurs in places like 1 John 4:8. God is love. That does not mean love is God. Yeah. It means one of the characteristics that God has is love. And you've got, I think one of the most fascinating ones is Mark 15:39, where the centurion at the death of Jesus says, truly this man was it a son of God, the Son of God, or God's Son? And I think God's Son is the best translation. He's speaking about the quality of what he is. Jehovah's Witnesses get this wrong because they take something that somebody after about 3 or 4 weeks of Greek would get right. And so they think because theos does not have the article, it can't be definite. But then you can show them place after place after place where theos does not have the article and is definite. This kind of construction, though, by throwing the predicate nominative in front of the verb, it occurs in a sense that that word that's thrown in front of the verb is almost never indefinite. The very fact that it's thrown forward makes it qualitative. Words can be indefinite, a thing. They can be definite, the thing, or they can be qualitative. And you have the same construction in John 1:14. The Word became flesh. You have flesh first, without the article. It doesn't mean the Word became a flesh. It doesn't mean the Word became the flesh. It means now the second person of the Trinity belongs to humanity, has the essence, the quality of being human.
And it echoes, is it fair to say, John 1:1?
Intentionally so.
Yeah.
Intentionally so. So the Logos, the Word, belongs to God, or is within God, and the Word now is within humanity, within flesh.
Mm-hmm.
This is the difference between first year and second year. I'm dealing with people drowning, and so you have to simplify things. So maybe I should draw the equal sign as one of those things we use in logic, which is kind of the same.
Kind of equal.
The big thing here for the simple way to, I would say, first year Greek, to say this for the next time a Jehovah's Witness knocks on your door.
We have Jehovah's Witnesses who watch this.
Okay,
So,
great.
Yeah.
Then here you go. Here you go. Proper names like Jesus usually are preceded by the definite articles. So Jesus is normally ha Jesus, not always, but it's usually ha Jesus, ha Petros, ha Paulus. The word for God, theos, is treated basically the same way. It's normally, and you probably know the numbers, but it's normally ha theos. Dan loves numbers. But that's what makes this remarkable, that the ha isn't there in front of theos. And so if you know Greek, you know that the article is not there for Dan's reason. What happens in Jehovah's Witnesses, they look at it and they say there's no article in front of it, and so the conclusion they come to is that it's a God, but that's not why there's that's why there's not an article in it. It's not why there's not an article in front of it.
Okay.
I'd like to add one other thing. We have in our audience Ed Komashevsky sitting on the front row, and he's co-authored some books with me, and he's co-authored a book with Rob Bowman called Putting Jesus in His Place. It's the finest defense of the deity of Christ in print. And Ed, can you just stand up and look around?
Wave your hand, Ed. So those who might wonder whether or not...
He deals in great length with this passage and all the passages that have some questions about them, about the deity of Christ.
So those who are wanting to study this in depth or discuss this in depth, or Jehovah's Witnesses who may be interested in this, you would recommend them reading Putting Jesus in His Place, which I'm sure we can order off Amazon. Fair?
Absolutely.
All right.